right, should be up and running here shortly. Give both platforms a chance to sync up here. We got about 8 minutes until the close, so we'll take a look at what the closing price is here shortly. All right, but let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for March 9th, 2022. SPY up 2.64, Qs up 3.4, and then IWM up 2.75. Coming into today, the bias was bearish as long as we stay below yesterday's high. That was our line in the sand. That was hourly resistance now that we got the pivot. All right, market gapped up and took it out, okay? Took out the high from the previous day, so no more bearish bias, okay? We are neutral going into tomorrow. Now, what we have to see is whether or not this attempt to move up will hold. The daily is trying to produce a double bottom here. You can see it actually even more clearly on the weekly, right? The two big bottoming tails there. So will that double bottom hold, or are we going to move back lower and eventually break it, right? If we're following the trend, then we have to lean more into, okay, it might get broken, which is why we're not going bullish quite yet, okay? So not bullish yet for me on the Qs and SPY, and they're pretty much the same. You can see the hourlies are very similar here. We've seen attempts to transition back higher here and establish an hourly uptrend. We saw one here that was not able to get much follow through that time. Okay, so if you want to see an example of the hourly trying to transition and not being able to do so, then you just gotta look back to the end of February, okay, and the beginning of this month, just not too long ago. So yeah, so this attempt was not able to hold here. So now again that the downtrend is being challenged as it was previously, right? We had that downtrend and then it broke. All right, we'll see if we get some kind of alignment here. Now last time when we were getting that break, I was looking at the weekly, right, and seeing, okay, if this is gonna get the follow through. We ended up needing one more retest, so we'll see. Okay, so neutral first. If the hourly continues the uptrend, right, then the next breakout, next pullback can be looked at as a start of the bullish bias. All right, that would be the time to start it. But we don't have the alignment, and we haven't really had up until actually the SPY here went back into this downtrend, right? And so we were kind of all out bearish for a few days there. It got pretty close to what we would expect as the target, back to the previous lows, back to the previous area of support, okay? And now we're getting a pretty decent bounce, okay? And especially with that gap negating yesterday's afternoon move. All right, let's go over the plays from today, okay? First play was the EOSE. So played this as a break over the highs here, okay? Break over the highs. Here's the daily trying to transition, but the EOSE broke out and immediately came in. So this did not work. Actually failed kind of in spectacular fashion. Lost a little over an R, not even 1.1 though. So it's fine. It's just a play that didn't work. And we just talked about this yesterday, that a lot of the things that we're looking at, the things that are really, really going, that are moving a lot, are things that are kind of low priced and trying to transition on the daily, right? We looked at the OP, we looked at the B cell, right? These are the things. Now, they're not easy to trade. Okay, DRCT, for example, today, very, very wild. End up letting this go because of how wild it is. But here's, the move, right? So, these things moving up 50% from the time that you get in it and going up 50% in 20 minutes, right? Those are the plays that are really giving a lot of potential right now. So, I'm not too bothered by this play. I know it was a bit aggressive, but it's also the kind of things that are really big winners as of late. So that's fine. And I only lose 1R on it. That's not a big deal. CA&O, next play, again, a little bit on the lower price side, trying to break that daily downtrend and played a breakout here. Now, the breakout here, I played, and it got a little bit of a shakeout first. You can see kind of it was basing and then kind of like a shakeout right there. So played it, and then it triggered me in right there, and then put in this inside bar, and then it started to break, and I killed it. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, it never took out my stop. Under 579. You can see this got 2 cents from that 579, and so then I got back in over 6. So, when the bar that gets you out doesn't get follow through, a lot of you guys already know this, the re-entry rule. When the bar that gets you out doesn't get any follow through, a lot of times it's just a shakeout. You can either get back in over a pause bar, or like this bar, which is just a doji bar, or you can play the next setup. I was playing it basically as a 2-minute buy setup as the re-entry. Okay, so there's the 2-minute buy setup. Okay, so this was good. This worked for about 3.5 almost R's, I think 3.3, something like that. Got a little over 2 out of it, but unfortunately the runner trailed break even. You can see I was trying to trail it hourly bar by bar and came and shook me out right there. So sometimes, this is the management that I like. It doesn't mean, and it's pretty good most of the time. It's pretty consistent in keeping me in things that should be kept all day. You can take a look at the Hudson, for example, today, which was pretty good, but worked right off the open and took off. You see, if you played that at the open, did have a 2-minute high-low. Hourly bar by bar keeps you in. There's a 2-minute doji bar, 2-minute high-low, and then hourly keeps you in until end of day. Yeah, so unfortunately, the Kano is going to close up here at 653, 654, and was not able to stay with it all day. I would have really liked to. You can see how it's kind of breaking that daily downtrend, but still not a bad play. And then the NTRA, which I let this one go because I wanted to see just a little bit of a better setup on this, but this is fine. I was hoping it would just base a little bit, just pause, trigger and then pause, because the 5-minute retracement was a bit much. Okay, if we look at this here, right, we're looking typically in the 40 to 60% retracement range, something close to 50%. That was a little bit too close, I thought, but there's the follow through. Yeah, really amazing follow through. I pass on it. I know why I pass on it. It's hard to look at, how well this worked. But Sammy did have a nice call on the climactic as a long once it put in the volume and went climactic here at the bottom. So that was pretty nice. And I know a lot of people also still play, because I did mention it, NTRA has a setup, 2-minute sell setup. Didn't call it because I wasn't playing it. At least wasn't ready for it yet. Wanted to see a little bit more, but hey, that was all it needed, and off it went. So talked about it yesterday. A lot of things. You're looking for the big home run plays. A lot of 14 to 18 plus are plays out there. So it's really, you catch the big ones and you let them run. That's really the focus for me right now. And as much as I would have liked to have caught the Hudson or the NTRA, I mean, Kano was okay. Would have liked to have been in until end of the day, but there'll be more. Okay, there'll be more. If the environment starts to shift from that, then fine. But I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's just really, just making a lot of big moves, and especially transitioning on the intraday. So that's the thing that I'll be continued to be focused on. Okay. All right, guys. Hope you had a nice day today. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.